All right, making the treads. The way to get this thing flat on both sides is you... All right, the goal is to try to clear off all these chainsaw marks off at the top of this tread. So I'll show you what I'm using to do this thing. So on Amazon, you can buy these blades that look like this. Not very expensive. And anyways, this takes the wood right down really easily, but it's super dangerous too. It works really fast. It leaves nice little dimples in it the way I like it. And then just a light sanding. So that's how I'm planing out each of the treads. I built a jig to hold the steps above the stringers so that I can scribe them exactly where I want them. So you can see I've made this little like A-frame thing here going all the way up like this and all the way across the bottom. There's some footings here and here, and it comes up. And then you can see this is the first tread up here on top. And I've been able to screw it in from this side and from this side, and I leveled it. And so it's exactly where I want it to be. And then I've taken my scribe and I started scribing this side of the log, 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 which I've just done. Now I'm gonna take this tread off and I'm gonna carve out those pieces, and they should line up exactly where it needs to be. Then next step is I take this jig and I'll go ahead and move it this way, just down the logs a little bit. And I'll set my next tread up right underneath it where it needs to go exactly, level everything, and then I'll scribe the next one too, and I'll just keep going down the stairs until I'm done. I just got through scribing my first one, and I grinded out the wells, and come and show you how tight this one is. Now the log's just sitting in place now. There's one line. Log's nice and flat, nice tight line. And that one, super tight line right in here, carved down exactly with the curvature of this wood. It sits just perfectly. So that step is right in place now. This is nice and level, and going across that way is nice and level. So pretty happy with my very first step. This is my scribing tool. There's a little bubble on top to help you keep it exactly level. And then it just has a couple of pencils in here, and it looks just like a compass. It's adjustable on how wide it goes. So what you do is you come up here to these logs that are in place. You take your scribe, you put it exactly right there, watching the bubble, make sure it stays level. And then you literally just follow the log down and around. What it does is it goes ahead and scribes with that pencil onto the log. And then once you have a scribe, you cut the thing out. As you can see right there, I've grinded it out. And then you're able to set the log on. You can see each of these logs, I've scribed them out perfectly, so it matches exactly onto the logs. All right, I'm gonna drill the holes through the logs and into the stringers. I've got my drill here, I've got a super long bit, And what I'm doing is I'm measuring the exact angle that I want to come into and the depth to go right through this stair and perfectly into the stringer. And then I'll go ahead and keep that angle and drill straight into it. I'm using a 1/2 inch lag bolt. And then I'm using a 1/2 inch auger bit. It's very long. And the reason why I'm using a 1/2 inch is because when this lag bolt goes through the stair, I want it to slide easily and not get hung up on the threads as it's going through the stair. But then when it goes into the stringer down here, I want it to be really tight so these threads just pull this stair tight into the stringer. So I'm using a 3/16 inch bit, and this drill bit is really long and it is quite skinnier than the 1/2. And that'll make it to where it pulls that lag bolt nice and tight into the stringer without getting hung up on the step. And then I want to make sure that I countersink into the step hole wide enough to fit this large washer. And to do that, I've got this bit, and that just cuts a hole that's just a little bit bigger than this washer. And that'll go right on top of that hole, and that'll countersink it down a good 1/2 inch so the head doesn't show through the top. You measure the angle that you want going into the board, which I put a little line against there so I know which way the drill is going to go. Then I've measured exactly where the middle of my stringer is. I've got a dot right here to measure that. And then the first thing you do is you want to go ahead and use your auger bit, and you want to go ahead and drill that in. If you don't do that, your pilot hole makes it too big and this thing won't track straight. So you got to drill this thing down first and then go to your 1/2 inch and auger that all the way down until you hit the stringer, and then switch to your little 3/8 bit. And I always mark my depth with a piece of tape, see that? And that way when I'm going down, I know exactly when to stop. And another thing is I always stop going into the stringer at least an inch, maybe a little bit more than an inch short. And that way when that lag bolt goes deep into the stringer, it really grips in really tight. How do you get the beams inside the house by yourself? Well, one's gone, and that's how you do it. An engine hoist, hooked right in the middle so it balances it, and then push it on this plywood out to the steps. And now we're going to lower it down onto some moving dollies and then push it through the house on moving dollies. I want to make a video really quick to give some pointers on how to get these stringers into place. So what I did is I took the engine hoist, you saw me hoist these things up, and the first thing you do is you set one of the stringers right in place. At the top out in the garage, I'd already measured right up here 4 inches, then 9 inches for the log, and then I've got 21 3/4 between the logs. And so I went ahead and got this one exactly into place based upon the height from the floor to the ceiling, the distance between here. I went ahead and bolted it in the top, made sure it was nice and flush at the bottom, and bolted it into the bottom. So this stringer's been set first. The next thing I did is out in the garage, I made sure that this first step was completely bolted in out in the garage, took it apart to bring it in here. Then I went ahead and got this stringer put into place with the engine hoist, but I didn't bolt it in yet because I wanted to make sure I had the right distance between these two stringers with this step. So I went ahead and took the step, bolted the step in, and then I got the level on the step to make it exactly level where I need it. And as I did that, I was able to get this stringer to be set exactly at the right height here and bolted at the right height at the bottom, because it's all based upon how level that stair was out in the garage to get an exact match, so that when I go ahead and put all the rest of these stairs on, they'll match up exactly right. Put a 2x6 in between the two stringers because that gives me the right distance between them. There's a lot of pressure pushed on these stringers when you're putting them in place. So then I engine hoisted this in the right place. I actually took some tie down straps you can see on the floor here, tied it around the stringer, and I pulled it up tight into the wall. Once I had everything nice and plumb and even and level, I went ahead and bolted the stringer at the top, bolted at the bottom, and now I'm set exactly where I need it. Next step is I'm going to start installing each of these steps, drilling them in and bolting them into place. One more pointer. When you're getting ready to lag bolt each of your steps into the stringers, you should take these ratchet straps and tighten the step down as tight as you can to the stringer on both sides. And then once you're ratcheted down nice and tight, then drill your holes on both sides, and then drill and put your bolt in. And the strap will keep the stair, it'll keep it from rising up when you're bolting that in, and keep it nice and tight. Here's a look at the top where it's finished off. Kept the carpet, you know, rolled over, and then actually cut the carpet nice and straight, and then I butted up a piece of wood so it looks really nice and good finished. Anyways, but there will be, and I also removed that stupid little spacer, but there will be one more step that sits on the top up here. But I have to actually remove these lag bolts right here and put in ones on the side down here first, then carve this piece out, put the step on, bolt the step in, and actually I'll put the lag bolt back in after I carve this out, then I'll bolt the step back on. Step should come right up here and actually hit right into the wood right there. So your last little piece where you can see the carpet will be like just a 2 or 3 inch rise onto the carpet.